Hey, what's up you guys? Welcome back to another video on my channel. I know it's been a while. I did make a video and I meant to upload it before, but then all of a sudden all the footage is gone and it's just a great situation. So now I've got to figure out what happened with that. And it was tough because I spent so long making it too. Like, it was a day-long process for that video because I had to work in between shooting it. So I shot beginning and then I shot after work, and it took a lot of time to edit it, and now all of a sudden it's gone and I'm not too happy about it. But until then, until I figure something else out, because I've been gone for like 5 days. I was in Vancouver for my friend's wedding. Being in Vancouver always brings back memories of situations, and I don't like it sometimes. Some of the memories are great, don't get me wrong, but most of the times they are very interesting. So as you can tell, this is kind of leading into a story time video, which is great. I haven't done one, so bear with me because this is a cringy one and I still worry about it all the time because I'm like, what if this guy, like, it's about a guy, okay? And I wasn't even dating him, and he was literally just that one time, like, he was just a fling and he knew it. Like, anyways, that was great. It'll get explained, but it's literally the thing of, like, I don't know if I have to watch my back anywhere right now because this guy was just crazy, like unbelievably crazy. Like, he would go to places I would normally go to on weekends in Vancouver just to find me. Like, even if I wasn't there, he would go there anyways. Like, I had like inside info from people at places that I used to go to. Like, if somebody that I knew was there, they'd be like, hey, so-and-so's here, what are they doing here? And I'm like, oh, great. And then in the end, he actually told me, like, he would always text me like, hey, where are you? And I'm like, why? I'm not gonna tell you, but why? He's like, oh, but you're always here, why aren't you here? So it's kind of creepy. So he basically turned into a stalker, I guess you could say. So, great story of a crazy obsessed stalker. There's my cat and my dog, hi. And she's gonna start suckling, it's great. Anyways, but yes, so I went to school in Vancouver, and I'm pretty sure if you followed for a bit, you know that, especially on my Instagram, because I know I posted it on Instagram sometimes, or not sometimes, all the time. Like, I would even post in like the voiceover booth. Surprise, it was an acting school. But I would post in a picture from like the voiceover booth for a class. And it was one of those situations. I like popcorn kernels stuck in my tooth, so it's really awkward. But yeah, it was one of those situations where you see somebody that's decently attractive, right? And my boyfriend at the time and I decided we would go through with like try an open relationship, which was, I've never done it before, so I was like, okay, like, whatever. He's like, just don't date anybody else. Like, if you wanna have a fling or whatever, like a one-night thing, go ahead, like, just let me know. Like, don't keep it, like, don't do it behind my back without telling me, kind of thing. Like, we were very open about that stuff. Didn't end, like, it ended. It was a year-long relationship and it ended after the year, so right, like a month after the 1 year. So, you know, you see where that went. It got stressful. That's another story time. But this one is different, so there we go. Yeah, so we had an open relationship, basically right there. And this guy at this school, let me be clear, this guy has gone to this school for 3 years already. He's done almost all of the acting courses. He was on the last one, I think, or the second last one. I don't remember. No, he's on the last one, I believe. And it was a longer, because I think the one that they were doing, that he was on, was a year long, and the one that I was on was only 6 months. Did you understand that? Was that English? Probably. I don't know. Anyways, but yeah, I was only there for 6 months for schooling. It was a full-time intensive acting program. It was the first year, not first year of the program, but afterwards you can apply an audition for either a conservative or a theater. So I think it was conservative and theater. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's conservative in theater. Anyways, that's just, pretty sure that's what it was. Anyways, so, no, it's comedy and theater. That's what it is, comedy and theater. Oh my god. He was in, oh god, which program was he in? I don't remember. Anyways, he was in one of the programs. I'm pretty sure he was in the theater one. He's in the theater one, I'm pretty sure. I'm not 100% though. No, he was in the comedy one, I think, that year. Anyways, I'm getting distracted. I'm trying to remember too many details. Yes. So he's in one of the programs. And it was he was one of those guys where he was decently attractive. So I was like, okay, that's cool. Wasn't really interested in anything. Then we end up, I don't know how it happened, but we end up talking. And then he invited me to this party, like a fundraising party, where there were a couple Vancouver actors, or a couple actors that were in Vancouver at the time filming stuff. They were there for this this charity event at a pub in Tawasin that was closing down. I think it was like their last week or month of being open, which is kind of sad because it's a pretty chill place, but at the same time, like, it was a pretty fun time. The fact that a couple of them were there, we got to hang out, whatever. And then, you know, one of those drinking stories, you go back to their place, right? So that was one of those things. I ended up going back to my house next morning, like 10 o'clock in the morning, because I was like, well, SkyTrains aren't running. It's 3 o'clock in the morning. I'm exhausted. I don't have anywhere else to stay, so I went and crashed at their place. Typical, you know, going back to somebody's place thing, right? And then trying to keep this PG, whatever. So then the next day, and we ended up exchanging numbers, obviously. That's how I got down there. And the next day, me and my roommate were out for coffee and like hanging around downtown. And then he starts texting me. He's like, hey, how's it going? I was like, oh, great. I was only expecting like a one-night thing. Wasn't expecting anything from this. Like, sure, we hung out, whatever. But for some reason, I wasn't putting things together. I wasn't listening to what I was hoping for that night. And I just kept talking. And needless to say, this entire thing went on for like 5 of the 6 months that I was in school. So it was stressful. And no, it went through like the entire time. And let's just say, in the last 2 months of schooling, he made it so stressful because he would not leave me alone. That's it. But for like a solid, I think like, well, probably 4 months. So, because I think for 2 months, it was a solid, or 2 or 3 months, it was solid, like always getting together, hanging out, whatever. And I also didn't care like anything about his personal life because I was like, no, this is just a thing like for school. I don't really care. Like, I don't want to get to know you personally, which was kind of whatever, but I just kept thinking, I don't want to get to know you personally. This is just a thing. It's not going to last forever. Like, it's probably not even going to last longer than a couple months. Like, I'm surprised it went longer than one night. But then he started, and we were hanging out one day, and we went out for a couple beers, and all of a sudden he started talking about, like, his future. And I was like, one thing, I don't even know how old you are, which is my bad on my part, because that comes up in a second. And I was like, but he looked like he was, you know, mid-30s. So it was acceptable. He looked young for his age. Let's just say that. He looked young for his age. I'm pretty sure he didn't give me a solid answer of what his age was, because he wouldn't tell me. So, he's like, yeah, I've got this plan of, like, I want to get my, because he was Australian, so that was also another thing. I've got a thing for guys with accents, and, yeah, he was Australian, so I was like, why not? I haven't really met Australians before, so this should be fun. So then, you know, we were out for a couple beers. He started talking about this thing, talking about it. We went back to his place, had a couple drinks at his place. And all of a sudden he's like, yeah, no, I've got this 5-year plan. And I'm like, oh, that's cool. Whatever. This is like the second time we've hung out, so it was weird. I was like, you don't need to talk to me about this. And then he said, yeah, no, I want to get my permanent visa. Like, I want to finish school. I want to get my permanent visa so I can stay in Vancouver and work in Canada and all this stuff. I was like, oh, that's awesome. Like, good on you, man. Like, this is great. That's great. That'd be awesome. And then he's like, yeah, and then I still want to do all of that, but I changed up my 5-year plan after we first met, and I was like, I'm sorry. He's like, yeah, no, I think at the end of the 5 years, I want to be married to you. And I was like, red flag up. But I was like, oh, wow, I was like, you know I'm in a relationship. I told you this when we met, right? And he's like, yeah, I know. But I plan on breaking that up so then I can marry you at the end of the 5 years. And I was like, what? And I was like, I need to go home and do some homework, so I'm gonna go get some sleep. And then he started going, after that day is when he started going downhill very fast. And it took a couple months for me to realize that I needed to get out of the situation as fast as I could, and it was too late. But yeah, anyways, fast forward, that was a weird time. And then fast forward to that, there's another time where I went, because it was just casual, whatever, here and there, talking. He would always get weird of like, I'd go over, because he knew what was going on. He knew I was in a relationship. He knew it was just a fling. He knew I was like an open relationship, so I was still with this person, and they knew what was going on. And I told him straight up like 50,000 times that's what was happening. Like nothing was coming out of it. He was 100% okay with it at the beginning. And then he turned fast. And I started complaining that I was in a relationship and that I was using him. I was like, dude, you know what's happening. Like, this isn't a committed thing. Like, this is just for fun. I told you that at the beginning. I have the text to prove it. I told you face to face before anything happened. And he was fine with it. He agreed to it through the text message, through face to face, everything. He agreed to it. I wish I had the texts, but I don't, because I deleted him. I blocked him on everything. I got to the point of having to block him on everything because he would not leave me alone. He would make accounts just to add me. It's like, this is great. I hate this. So, where was I? I don't remember where I was. Oh, right. Okay, so then I went over to his place. So this was like a couple months after, like, we got into a huge fight. So I was like, hey, listen, man, like, you're getting weird. Like, I can't do this anymore. You need to stop this. And he started threatening me. That's the part. He started threatening me. He's like, well, if you don't want to be with me, you can't be with anybody else. You're never going to be happy. No one's going to love you. All this stuff. You're going to break up with your boyfriend. You're never going to find anybody else. You're only going to find me, and I'm not even going to want you anymore. And I'm like, I'm like, that went from 0 to 100 fast. What the hell happened? And then it took him like a week to cool down, and I was like, are you done? And he's like, I'm sorry for what I said. I was just upset. Like, I'm just upset about the situation. Like, I don't want you to be in a relationship. And it's like, well, you can't really control that. 1, 2, I told you I was in an open relationship. He knows about this. Like, what's wrong with it? He's like, well, it's ruining my 5-year plan. I want to get married to you at the end of the 5 years. I need to. And I'm like, you don't need to. And then he's like, I also want to take you to my son's wedding soon. And I was like, I'm sorry? He's like, yeah, my son's getting married. I'm like, how old's your son? He's like, oh, he's 22. And I was 20 at this time. And I was like, your son's older than me? And I was like, your son's 22. You have a son? You have kids? He's like, yeah. And I'm like, how old are you? And he's like, I'm old enough to have a 22-year-old son. That's all he told me about his age. And I was like, yo, no, back up. And then this was when I was at his place. And then I went into his room to go to the bathroom because his roommate was using the other room. And he had a blown up, not even kidding you, a blown up 8x10 picture of me on his wall that I didn't know about. And he put it up in a month of us not talking. Well, not a month of us not talking, but, you know, a month of me not wanting to go to his house because he was weirding me out and, like, not talking to him for a couple days here and there, and him losing his shit and just going out with him for a couple of drinks and then going home kind of thing. So, yeah, and then I confront him about it. I was like, that's not okay. I'm like, you have my picture on your wall without my knowledge? That's not okay. Like, that's weird. So then it kind of clicked, like, you know, as a kid, you have pictures, like, posters of celebrities on your walls. That's, this is, in a way, different because celebrities kind of expect it because, you know, they got posters for sale. They're in magazines. It's all over the internet. He went on my personal Facebook, printed off an 8x10 picture of me, and put it on his wall. I was a little weirded out about that. We weren't even dating. He knew we were a fling. He lost his crap. He lost it on me millions of times over stupid things. He would emotionally abuse me and mentally abuse me. I'm surprised he didn't get physical because he was messed up. So then very quickly I cut ties. I told him, I was like, no, I'm done. That's weird. That's creepy. I don't appreciate that. I'm tired of how you treat me. I'm tired that you think that I can't hang out with anybody else but you. I'm tired of this and this. I was like, you knew I was in a relationship from the beginning. You know I still am. That's not gonna change because this is the guy that I wanna be with. At the time I was saying that. Obviously it didn't last. I was like, this is the guy I wanna be with. You can't change that. You can't change my mind on that. I'm like, the fact that you're trying to force me to break up with the guy that I'm not gonna break up with just so you can complete your 5-year plan of marrying me, and the fact that you're inviting me to your 22-year-old son's wedding when I'm only 20 years old. No, that's not okay. So then I left very fast. Pretty sure I walked to the SkyTrain because I was like, I'm not gonna let him drive me anywhere anymore. I'm gonna go home, all this stuff. And then he started bringing rumors into school and tried to accuse me of all this stuff, of trying to hook up with the teacher, like the instructors. He tried to accuse me of doing so many things at school, and everyone's like, is that true? I'm like, no, it's not true. I was like, I just cut ties with him because he was doing this and this. I'm like, this is what was going on. Here are all the text messages that I have right here of him emotionally and mentally abusing me. He's not leaving me alone even when I tell him to leave me alone. I was like, I've told him I'm in a relationship. He's not listening. I'm like, this is what's happening. He is not telling the truth. So everybody was like, oh shit, this guy's crazy. And I'm like, yeah, he's crazy. He would not leave me alone. And then he started making jokes for his comedy skits, or like comedy things for comedy nights at comedy clubs, which is a lot of comedy, but whatever. And he made one about me, and it was really bad because I believe I was still in school at this time. It was on a weekend. I had nothing else to do. And I had a couple friends who were in this comedy thing as well. It was part of one of their assignments. So I was like, okay, cool. I'm gonna go support my friends. I got a free ticket to it. I sat between, not even kidding you, sat between 2 of the instructors because I was like, he's here. I cannot have him sitting by me. I cannot do that. Like, I cannot have him interact with me. And they knew about the situation. So they're like, hey, we got you. Like, come on. Like, come sit between us. It's fine. We'll make sure he doesn't talk to you. And I'm like, perfect. Great. And then one of his pieces during his set was about me and about everything that happened and embarrassed me in front of everybody at the school. And the instructors looked at me, they're like, damn. And I'm like, damn. So obviously I confronted him about that, and he was not having it because he's like, why do you always think it's about you? It's never, not always about you. You're not the center of attention. He's like, blah, 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 going off about that. And I was like, no, even go ask everybody else and everything that you have said to everybody. That is exactly what it is. Don't even try to accuse me of thinking everything's about me, because we all know that that was about me. The instructors knew because they knew everything that was happening at that school. They knew everything about the situation. The instructors knew, the other students that were there knew, everybody there knew him and knew the situation. So he got caught red-handed with that. And no matter what happened at the school, everybody made sure that he was like at least like 10 feet away from me. He was not allowed close to me at all during the end of the school, like my last 3 months of school. So they all kept him separate from me because he always caused too many problems. And then there'd be nights, like, he started spamming my phone and texting me and threatening me through text messages of all this stuff. I don't remember what the threats were, but I knew he started threatening me about so many things. And he's like, I'm gonna go tell everybody about what you did to me. I'm gonna tell everybody this and this. I'm like, well, first of all, what I did to you wasn't anything because you did all this stuff to me and I still have it on my phone. Second of all, you better not start spreading lies about me again because that's stupid. I can't do that. You can't be doing that. Like, that's wrong. You should know that. You're obviously not mature, but you should be mature enough to know that. And then all of a sudden, he went quiet, and I was like, this is not a good sign. And then he started going on Twitter and spamming me. He started going on Facebook and spamming me. He started spamming my Instagram. He started spamming my Snapchat. He started going around and telling everybody bad, like, all these terrible things about me that I never did, and I didn't even know about myself. Like, that's the best part. I didn't even know about these things about myself. And he was spreading so many things about me, all because I didn't tell him that it was a fling. And that was for fun and no strings attached, even though we agreed on it 50,000 times at the beginning. So that was a bad time. But needless to say, I blocked him on everything. Even his other accounts that he made and tried to follow me, I found out they were him and I blocked him. And then he got deported back to Australia because his visa ended and they wouldn't renew it. So there's that. But yes, all is good now. He's gone. It was a gong show and a half when it started. Even though he's deported back to Australia, I still watch my back when I'm in Vancouver, because I'm always scared, like, well, maybe he's here visiting. Like, what if he shows up one day? Like, I can't risk that. Like, where I am right now, I'm from Alberta, so he could easily try to find me, which is scary. I don't like that. But my cat's just sleeping. But yeah, so that's that. I know there's more to that story, but that was just a rough thing about that story that I wanted to, like, when I was in Vancouver, I was like, I need to make a video about this. I need to make a story time. That's gonna be great. But yeah, that's it for this video. I hope you enjoyed my first story time, even though it's kind of weird. I kind of sped through it, but I don't want to go past, 25 minutes of a video, because that's, I don't know. But yeah, no, I basically just stalker. But yeah, oh, also, he would actually straight up try to find me at the places that I used to go to. There's one pub called the Lennox, and I used to go there a few times a week. Don't get me wrong, a few times a week, just to do like homework or just hang out, get away from my apartment, whatever. And when I left one day, he's like, "Where are you?" And I was like, "I'm on the SkyTrain going somewhere." I'm like, "I'm not downtown." And he's like, "Oh, well, I just got to the Lennox. Where are you? You should be here." And I was like, "I'm not there anymore. I'm not going back, so bye." Never told him where I was. And then that's when I blocked him on, text messages and everything, like on my phone and everything. I was like, this is bad. I should have probably contacted the cops about it, but I didn't, because I was stupid. But yeah, so that's it. That's all. That is the story time of my crazy Australian stalker from school. So yes, thank you so much for, sitting here and listening to my story time. I know it wasn't much, probably. There's a lot more I could have told about that story, but I didn't, because there's a lot of stuff I don't really want to talk about. So, yeah, no, there will definitely be more story times in the future. This was just one where I'm like, well, I lost footage for my other videos, so I need to make another video. So story time. Anyways, again, thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, give it a thumbs up. Subscribe down below for more videos, and hit that notification bell to get notified when I post a new one. And it'll most likely be another story time, or if I end up finding that the footage from the video I was gonna post and it ends up being somewhere else, I will post that next video or next week. But yeah, all right. I guess that's it. See you guys in the next one. Bye.